everybody, and welcome to Fortress Comic News, episode 63. I am your host, Chris. No Mike this week. Mike is out of town on very important business, but we trek on without him. So this week, I've got a great interview with the creator of Morgan's Organs, Daniel Brodie. So that's going to be a majority of the show. We're going to cut to that. Real quick, some housekeeping. So we've got Free Comic Book Day coming up. Free Comic Book Day. If you are in upstate New York, in Victor, New York, we are going to be at Two Kings Comics doing great giveaways, talking to people. We're going to have posters for sale, all kinds of cool stuff. If you are not in our area and you are one of our either international listeners or just a U.S. listener, it's far away, or one of our many Canadian listeners, we love you too. We are going to be attempting to do a live stream that day. I've got it set up. It should work. It's our first live stream, so bear with us on that one. But I'm going to be doing a live stream where we're going to be giving away some digital comics as well. So with all of that, we're going to have an amazing Free Comic Book Day, and I've got a lot of people to thank for that, including our good friend Travis Holyfield, the good people at Wayward Raven, Miles Greb, the amazing Miles Greb, and I'm forgetting some as well, but we'll have all of that there for Free Comic Book Day, and I can't wait for that. Remember, you watch this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, give our videos a thumbs up, share with your friends and family. It makes us feel amazing. And if you're listening to us on iTunes or any other podcast service, leave us a review. We need those reviews. They really help out with getting the show to more ears and more people. That's just how iTunes and all them work. And plus, it just makes me feel good to see that people are enjoying the show. And, make sure you go check out FortressComicNews.com and all the great stuff we got going on there. And our affiliate link in the description below, mycomicbookshop.com. You go there, use our link, you click on it, and it helps us out on our end. And once again, just makes us feel great. So we appreciate all of you, and we're really glad that we have you, and we cannot wait for Free Comic Book Day. We have some really cool stuff planned. We're going to talk to some cool people, and we will have a show out that week. If you're not able to watch the live stream, I'm going to edit together most of Free Comic Book Day into one ginormous podcast. And that's all I got for housekeeping. Next week, we're going to be back with a regular show and a special guest. And with that, Mike will also be back. So we're going to talk about all the news coming out from DC, Marvel, and all the comic companies you love, as well as our thoughts on Jessica Jones and anything else that happens within the next week. I'm going to wait for Mike to get back because I want to talk to Mike about that, and you guys want to hear what Mike has to say and all that. So let's go on and welcome Daniel Brodie to the show from Morgan's Organs. And thank you all for listening. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This week I have the co-creator, actually, of a book self-imposed as the adult version of Disney's Inside Out. I have Daniel Brodie of Morgan's Organs.
Hi.
Hello. So, we'll start off very simply. Morgan's Organs, what is it?
So, just like you said, I like to bill it as Inside Out for grown-ups. Take a look at this boy named Morgan. He's a university student. He's a little bit awkward, a little bit shy, kind of like your typical sort of person, just growing up, figuring out life. But he's a bit extraordinary because I guess inside of him you realize he has all these characters living within him. I call them organauts, and they're mostly what controls his daily life. They're not actually organs. They're just supposed to be kind of the workers within the rooms that represent his organs. So that gives us a little bit of creative freedom because you can play with certain ideas of, one character taking on the responsibilities of another organ operation. So you get to see some funny moments in that sense. And yeah, it's just kind of like a slice of life comic, looking at pretty absurd situations that seem normal on the outside, but when you see what's going on inside, that's when the humor ensues.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. I mean, you came out right, jumping right out of the gate in the first issue with the something that every man has dealt with in his life, which is the old game between the brain and the penis. Not to get crude, but and the first issue, you really go into kind of a battle between those two. What was the inspiration behind that? Like,
Yeah. Oh, I don't even know. I mean, I can tell you it took about 3 to 4 years to actually nail down that script for that first book. And even before that, it was, I originally wanted it to be a TV show. So when I first wrote it, it was more of a screenplay style. But I can tell you that, I guess that sort of idea for the first book was always just kind of like where I thought it would be a good starting point, trying to be a bit shocking to kind of set up what I planned for the future, but also try not to get too racy and trying to segment, I guess, my potential audience too soon. So, I didn't want to do something fluffy and, but I didn't want to do something that would be, I guess, too dramatic, too, over the top either. So I thought that something that a lot of people can relate to, obviously, sex and especially the battle between different ideas, different thoughts going on. And it was just a good setup for a conflict to show within the body, something that a lot of people can relate to.
yeah, I mean, both issues are a lot of fun, but that first issue in particular, I've gotten a few people to try it out, and they always come back with how great it was. Where did you've got kind of a hierarchy here inside the body, and it's fairly simple and kind of obvious, but it really works. Was that a plan to kind of have the body flow kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a company or a warehouse, or was there always meant to be like the brain kind of leading everybody in a certain direction, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of the book, I guess, is somewhat like The Office in that, the lives of these organs is honestly pretty boring. Like, if we take day-to-day look, like, they're doing the same thing day in and day out. They're probably bored out of their minds. If they truly do have, human characteristics, they're, fighting thoughts about, like, advancement. What's the meaning of all this? Why am I, what am I doing? So, trying to really focus on, I guess, extraordinary situations to bring them out of their shell. And it just makes sense that the brain is kind of the leader of that governing structure. But kind of a Michael Scott character in him, he's got all these flaws that make him not much of a great manager. He thinks that his ideas are the best ideas. He has trouble listening to the opinions of others. Mm-hmm. He also has a sense of pride and ego. So if ever he does screw something up, he'll do whatever he can to cover himself. And you see a bit of that in book 2, with Morgan swallowing the dye, and indirectly, I guess you could say it's partly because of the brand, because it's his programming that led to Morgan panicking. So, the rest of the book, he's trying to cover up that he had any sort of involvement in that happening. So you can see, there's moments where the organs are like, they do go along with his plan, but in the background, they're like, what is he doing? He's an idiot. Like, so there's definitely like, there's a sense of false respect for him. And that definitely gives it some opportunity that, at any moment, any of the organs could overthrow him and put him into a state of, I guess, conflict, because he realizes he's not a great leader as he really thinks he is. So, those are some of the ideas I hope to explore in the future, seeing, what a leader really looks like. They're rarely well put together. There's self-doubt. There's conflicts of interest. There's learning how to do something that you want versus what's best for your team. Eventually I see, Bran kind of falling out of that role and having to pick himself back up.
Yeah. So one thing I really did enjoy about both issues as well is something you don't see much today in comic books in general, which is that both issues are one and done stories that you could pick up and understand all by itself. Was that something you wanted to do from the get-go? And is that something you're going to continue to do, or do you see story arcs coming about as you build Morgan's Organs into the future?
Yeah, I'd say probably partially because I guess I started this as a TV show that I always kind of saw it as I've heard the term before, sitcomic. So yeah, standalone is like definitely something that I think really works well for this sort of series, and it's something I wish I see more of in comic books. It's tough to really invest in a story when every book ends in a cliffhanger and story arcs and all that. So I really just wanted to give something that you really could pick up any book in any order and figure out immediately what the concept is, what's going on, read it from start to finish, and have a full contained story. Not to say that I'm not trying to build in, I guess, ideas that can live on in the future. For example, in the book one, we meet another human that shares his sort of plight, and in book two, we see that there's a young Morgan. So there's definitely different ideas that I want to present and hopefully grow on in the future. But overall, I do, at this time, the stories I write are self-contained, so that you can enjoy them in any order. And yeah, hopefully that really does encourage new readers, because you can start at book 3, you can start at book 1, and you'll still know what's going on.
Awesome. And your artist really works with the story. I think he's just a perfect fit for what you're doing with it. How did you two come to meet each other and start on this project?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Rob's incredible. This concept would not be anywhere where it is without his sort of art and the style he brings to it. I mean, the words are one thing, but the way that it bleeds on a page, it's just perfect. So, yeah, we met. I found him online through one of those, I guess, sort of contractor sites. He was like the first artist I saw. Instantly fell in love with his artwork, and messaged him. And I still remember the first thing he said to me when he agreed to come on. He said, "You had me at Vagina Monster," which was one of the ideas from the first book. So yeah, it's been really good. It's cool because we both live in Canada, even though we're really far apart. I'm in Toronto, he's out east on the coast. But about 10 years ago, he used to live in the same city that I did, of about 100,000 people. So it's kind of cool that our lives have crossed in real life in a weird way like that. And yeah, it's nice to work with him. It's a lot of work, so definitely feels the pressure to as the solo artist and vision on the artwork. But we did bring on Tyler Kelting for the second book, and he brought a really great color style to the book, really building on, I guess, the colors that Rob set up in the first book and continuing that through. So yeah, Tyler will be joining us, I believe, for the third book, and yeah, it's nice to continue to work with the same team and see the art grow over time. You can definitely see his style growing. The panel layouts are getting more complex each book. And I really like also that this is his first comic book too. So, we're both kind of learning together how the entire process works.
That's super impressive. That's both of your first project.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys started this crowdfunding on Kickstarter. Explain that whole process. How much fun was that when you first started it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Morgan's Organs, it was something that I was pretty private about back in the day when I was first writing it. Only a couple friends knew about it. I'd say part of me was a bit embarrassed about what I was doing, because I thought maybe it is kind of stupid and it doesn't really have any merit. So when I just finally decided to make it as a comic book, that's when I became a bit more open about it. I had actual art to show, it wasn't just words. So definitely felt a bit more confidence. And then Kickstarter just made sense as the next avenue to kind of manage that risk of is this something people actually want, or is this something that it's too much of a stretch that I shouldn't pursue it. And so yeah, I just I didn't feel comfortable with just releasing a full comic and going from there. And Kickstarter is such a great platform for growing an audience that it just made perfect sense to go that way.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about Kickstarter over the year and how much fun those campaigns can be.
Oh, yeah.
So
I remember that, and it was quite daunting, that first push.
Yes. So you're prepping issue 3, am I correct there?
Yeah.
And should we be expecting the Kickstarter anytime soon for that?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the plan is. I mean, so first, book 1 and book 2, the Kickstarter launched February 2016 and then February 2017. So, obviously I was hoping to launch February 2018, but the script took a bit longer for me to finalize, and so I don't know exactly when the Kickstarter will launch. I don't know how much of the book I want to have done going into the project. But yeah, the script is done. Rob's working on the cover art right now. Hopefully it'll be final, I think, next week, so I can hopefully share something on that. But yeah, I'm trying to be patient and just, let the project happen on its own, because it's going to happen regardless, and I know people are looking forward to it. So I don't want to wait too long between the Kickstarter and the book launch. Hopefully I can, narrow that timeline so people are getting the book that much sooner.
That's awesome. So with this new book, can you spoil anything as to what we should be looking forward to?
Yeah, totally. I can tell you the inspiration for it is Memento, if you've seen that movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, it was a conversation between me and Rob, and he brought up the idea of Memento, and so I got kind of obsessed with it. I rewatched the movie, wrote all these notes, scrambled in my mind to try to figure out how to make something work, and it was not working at all. It was, but eventually I figured it out over the Christmas break, and I feel really good about the story. I like to think, each story builds on the last one, and honestly, it's probably my favorite script of the three. I think it's the most interesting storytelling method. So I'm really excited to bring it forth. Overall, I can tell you it's about Morgan getting blackout drunk, and basically centers around both him and his body trying to put together the pieces of what really happened the night before. So it'll be really interesting, and I'm really excited to show it.
That sounds like a lot of fun. The book really, you always say Inside Out for adults, and I do get that. I mean, have you ever seen the movie Osmosis Jones?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the vibe I really get from it when I read it first. I had to have thought that you at some point seen that movie, and that's one that I'd never get to talk to people about, because every time I bring it up, they're like, "Wait, what are you talking about?"
Yeah. It's great. I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time. I should probably refresh, but I would say, totally. Osmosis Jones has some influence. That sort of, the Bill Murray character. He's kind of a plain Jane in the movie. So, I do get some criticism. At times people say, Morgan, he needs more of a character. But for me, it's kind of purposeful. I want him to be this sort of sponge that just soaks up life and does what his friends tell him and makes mistakes, because it really allows the inside to shine more, and it makes our organs the star of the show. So Osmosis, I played around with some of those ideas, like should the body be more of this megalopolis versus just rooms within the body, and we'll see in the future as I introduce more characters. Are there blood cells that run around, or is there what does tissue look like? What's muscle? So yeah, who knows? Who knows what sort of inspiration I can draw from.
That could be a lot of fun with trying to find the different parts and how to implement them.
Yeah, and it's tricky, especially with I guess with the rules of the world. And I think that's one of the most challenging things when you first come up with a concept. It's trying to put together a great story, but also trying to define your rules so quickly, especially with a lot of fantasy and sci-fi sort of stories out there. So each book, it's another challenge to remember, what rules did I set up already, what's possible. So it'll be interesting the more books I make, just how far I can stretch it.
Yeah, and some of my writing personally, I remember one book I started writing, the first issue was the worst because I had to spend all that time building up the world and putting this kind of Bible to the side of this is what can happen in this world, and then having to follow that. So I think that first issue took me forever. And then after that, it kind of flowed. But, so I hear you with Morgan is kind of a plain Jane and kind of a boring character, but I like that idea because to me, it's not about as much Morgan and more about his organs and those characters as they're built in the book. I mean, who's your favorite character to write out of all those organs?
I mean, Andy's definitely one of the best. it's just so much fun. Those long drawn out monologues that use overly complex words, and every time him just getting bashed by the team. He's definitely a lot of fun to write. The one of the characters we don't see much of is Liv the Liver. He's usually sleeping, too drunk. But when I first wrote some of the earlier scripts, he had a lot more dialogue in them, and he has this sort of pirate attitude. So I find him a lot of fun because he's just so vulgar, but he has that sort of lingo to him. So hopefully we'll see more of him. But yeah, I mean, it's at this point I really feel like I know each character's personality, and each one could really bleed off the page for me. So it's really fun to just switch between mindsets and thinking about how each character would react. And yeah, but Andy's definitely a favorite.
Okay. So are there any other projects you're working on right now, or are you solely focused on this and trying to get this to kind of hit the ground running?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say this is basically my sole projects. I have ideas, but I don't want to make stuff just for the sake of making stuff. I want to stick to my guns, and I think this is probably my strongest sort of avenue. So it's and I'm seeing good signs. I'm seeing more local recognition. I got offered a pro guest table at the upcoming Toronto Comic Con. So, it's nice to see that people are actually appreciating what's going on. So, yeah, I'm pretty focused on just continuing with Morgan's Organs and, extending the world. I got some cool stuff going on. I'm making brand pins for the show. I have another guy who's actually making a Pepe figurine for myself that hopefully will be one of the Kickstarter rewards. So, yeah, it's Morgan's Organs till the end.
So Pepe, will you have the baseball cap, or are you gonna do the
blur?
The blur, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be in fine form with baseball cap.
So yeah, I mean, anything else I missed? It seems like it's really exciting. A lot of cool stuff going on in Morgan's Organs. Any upcoming stuff with that I'm zoning out on right now?
No, I mean, at this point, it's, if you spoke to me probably 3 months ago, I would have been quite a bit more unsure about book 3. It's, scripts, it's a daunting step in the process, and trying to put something together and put together a good story. You don't want to just put something out there. So it took me a while to figure out this one, especially trying to work with this sort of memento framework. But yeah, I'm really feeling good about it. I think it's been a really fun story. Bringing in new characters, new themes, and this sort of mystery/crime aspect to it. So hopefully I'll have some artwork to start sharing shortly. But yeah, otherwise, just focusing on pushing book 1 and book 2 out to an audience.
And if people want to find you outside of Toronto Comic Con coming up, where would they look for all that stuff?
Yeah, I'd say go to my website, morgansorgans.com, where you can pick up book 1 and 2 in print or digital. You can check out the page previews and, follow along and see updates as book 3 comes along.
That's awesome. So thanks for being on. It was great talking to you, and I really look forward to getting Morgan's Organs issue 3. And when that comes on Kickstarter, I know we'll be talking about it here on Forge Comic News. So once again, thanks for being on. And hopefully we'll talk to you again in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thanks, man.
Have a great one.